Hi, it's Edward, back with another video. Please take a moment to click the thumbs up button below and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your support. I watched a car care nut video titled, "Mechanics Are Vanishing. Here's What's Really Happening." I thought it was so interesting, I decided to make a video reacting to it. There were a lot of people that shared their thoughts beneath my video, and I decided to present those in a video of my own previously. Well, this is part 2. I'm going to share with you what this first commenter has to say. I worked in a dealership for years. You would be absolutely shocked how much old people or stupid people pay for BS repairs that are not even needed. I watched one old lady pay $4,600 for 8 new coil-on plugs and 8 new spark plugs and 4 new O2 sensors for her 90,000-mile town car. I have seen people pay $1,500 for 4 new shocks that were not even needed. They also paid for fluid exchange services, and they really didn't need to get done. Keep your older car and learn to work on it yourself. 2005 and older are the most reliable vehicles. Well, I believe that one. I'm sitting in a 2004 Toyota Camry with 438,000 miles on the odometer, with the original engine and original transmission. Now, I want to share my thoughts regarding this particular comment. I don't like that this person used the word stupid. I think there are a lot of everyday Americans who believe new car franchise dealerships have their best interest at heart. Think about it for a moment. These new car franchise dealerships have fancy buildings. You walk in, they're generally polite. They often have a nice lounge with snacks and drinks. And they make you believe that they truly want to help you service your vehicle, and they want to try to get you the best price possible and offer you the best service. Well, according to this particular commenter, it seems as though some dealerships may not have your best interest at heart. And I hate to hear about that. The next commenter said, most industries must overcharge you now. Well, it sure seems like that, doesn't it? The next commenter said, and they won't allow you to bring in a pre-bought alternator. Why? Because they can't rip you off. Well, my friends, I understand why some dealerships would not want you to bring in your own parts. Dealerships often like to mark up their parts. In one of my prior videos, some mechanics chimed in and said dealerships sometimes mark up their parts by 300 or 400%. That's unbelievable. Now, another commenter responded to this individual and said, those part stores' alternators are junk most of the time. Well, back in high school, I learned to rebuild an alternator, and all we did was replace the brushes. So if that's all that some part stores do, then you have to wonder how long some of those alternators are going to last if they're rebuilt. Another commenter said, I have a friend who has his own shop. He used to let customers supply their own parts. The problem was enough of them would buy the cheapest parts possible, usually off Amazon, and those parts would fail pretty quickly. As a result, they would blame him even though it wasn't his fault. So, for liability reasons, he no longer allows the average person to supply their own parts. Another commenter said, people try hard to avoid dentists, doctors, HVAC technicians, plumbers, electricians, because they way overcharge you. Why? Because they can. Well, that's a supply and demand thing. There are only so many licensed plumbers. Sometimes you have to wait a week or two before one is able to come out to your home. Some of them can literally charge whatever they want. Another commenter said, my son is 35 years old. He works on cars at home in his spare time and makes more money than if he worked full-time for some idiot. Again, I don't condone people calling others names, but it's really great that this 35-year-old is able to make his own living at home. Another commenter said, I'd feel guilty working one of these rip-off industries. Well, I would too. The next commenter said, starting January 1st, inspections are no longer a law in New Hampshire because of all the fraudulent repair ripoffs. No more stickers. Someone responded to that commenter and said, the state of New Hampshire is going to lose a lot of revenue. Here's another interesting comment. This person said, funny, you are asked to tip at a restaurant or fast food place or a coffee place, but not the people who fix your car. Someone responded to that individual and said, hey genius, servers are making $2 per hour because they are expected to get tips. Someone else responded to that person and said, maybe the restaurant owner should pay a living wage. Here's another interesting comment. The dealership life is a scam, and the effects are starting to show and will get worse. My friends, you really have to wonder. It seems as though a lot of dealerships are charging a lot of money these days. I used to take my 2004 Toyota Camry to the dealership, but they almost doubled the cost of an oil change, and I just did not want to throw that kind of money away anymore. Another commenter said, thank you, Ed, still using that wallet. This person is referring to a wallet that I recommend in the description beneath all of my videos. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. I'm glad this person enjoys the wallet that I recommend. The next commenter said, an auto mechanic is a very tough job. I was broke as a young man, so I had to learn to repair my car since I could not afford a shop. During college, a guy I knew dropped out and became a mechanic. A year later, when I would meet with him to socialize, he would always have lots of cash and no worries about money. We were about 20 years old at the time, so I wondered if I was doing something wrong by not going into that industry. Around 20 years later, the job took a bad toll on him. He looks way older than he is and is in bad shape from the brutal environment he is in all day. Well, that's really a sad story. I hate to hear that. Another commenter said, same story everywhere. The people doing the work are not being paid. 90% of the profits go straight up to management. Well, not always management. Sometimes to stockholders or to the owner of the company. There are a lot of wealthy new car franchise owners. A lot of these folks have almost unlimited money. They really, really rake it in. The next commenter said, I don't take my cars to dealerships. I take my cars to small shops that are owned by car enthusiasts. They are good mechanics and I trust them. This does exist. Another person said, only take your car to the dealership when it is under warranty. The next commenter said, the problem is this. You could run videos like this about so many jobs, trades, and careers. I saw a number of videos on nurses quitting due to stress, teachers with poor pay, software engineers getting laid off due to AI. Feels like there are very few places to go. Sure seems like that, doesn't it? A lot of jobs are being replaced by artificial intelligence. There are a lot of people in a variety of different occupations being asked to do more work for the same pay. It's really unfortunate. This next person said, on a positive note, the best option is to spend a few years working for someone else to learn the business and eventually open your own shop. There are millions of people that need their vehicle fixed. America is still the land of opportunity. Well, my friends, I'm afraid this is going to get harder to do in the future because a lot of manufacturers are likely to create proprietary systems that can only be repaired by a new car franchise dealership. If any of you watching this video are mechanics right now, and you have already ran into this, tell us about it in the comment section below. This next commenter said, cars are over-engineered. Open the hood of a 1970 GM car and take a look at the engine. Now, do the same to a car built in 2024. Enough said. Someone else responded to that commenter and said, today's cars are more reliable than the 1970s car, easily 10 times safer too. It also has more horsepower and better performance. Well, I think that depends. There were some cars in the 1970s that had a lot of horsepower and a lot of torque, such as the 1970 Chevelle LS6 454. I always dreamed of having one of those. I always wanted one that was red with the black stripes, the cowl induction hood. That would have been an amazing car to have. Unfortunately, an LS6 454 Chevelle with matching numbers that doesn't have a lot of Bondo in it is going to sell for six figures or more in some cases. The next commenter said, I have been taking my 2022 Mercedes GLB to a private mechanic for all scheduled maintenance and repairs ever since it was out of warranty. It's more convenient. Plus, I enjoy supporting a hardworking young man who is running a small business. The one exception was when I was forced to go to a Mercedes dealership to get a new key fob. I left $1,100 poorer. Can you imagine paying $1,100 for a key fob? I'm glad I don't own a Mercedes. I'm perfectly happy with my 2004 Toyota Camry. The next commenter said, the same is true of a dentist. You need to be careful here too. They can recommend more than what you really need. Well, I think that's good advice. You really should make sure you ask a lot of questions before you ever pay for services anywhere. Complete a lot of due diligence. Make sure that you really need what is being recommended to you. But that's just what I think. And what do I know? I'm just some guy on YouTube. What do you think about all this? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.